This is where my life belongs.
So the first thing we're going to start off with is our preprocessor directive. That is the norm. So I have my div C. Alright, so after my preprocessor directive, I am going to move on to the main function, which is int main, followed by the null brackets. The main is spelled correctly. Then we're going to have our parentheses. Alright, so once it is that you're creating a file, the first thing that you want to create, and this is when you're creating text files. So first thing we're going to do is that we're going to declare our file pointer. How is it that we do that? We use the word file, followed by a asterisk and a letter of your choice. Now the letter is what you're going to use as reference for your file, so you can use F. Most examples that you will see will have F in there, but you don't have to use F. You can use any letter that you or word. So I'm going to use S for me, and that is going to be followed by or semicolon. So after which you would have your return 0 semicolon to close, and that now would be your file pointer declaration. And remember that we're creating text file. Let me put this at the top. Alright, so after it is that you have created your file, you are going to want to now open a file. That is also pretty easy. So we use the same letter that we have as our pointer at the top. So that's the first thing you're going to have, and please remember that it is case sensitive. So if you have an uppercase and uppercase letter, you're going to continue with that. So you're going to have your file pointer followed by the equal sign and the word fopen. Fopen is basically telling the system to open the file function, and the fopen function has two parameters. So you're going to state the name of your file. So I'm going to have let's say list, whatever name you want to give it, followed by the dot and the extension for the file, which can be a text file, a word file, whatever it may be. So if you're using text, it's going to be txt. If it's going to be a Word document, it would be doc, comma. And we did have our open modes. So that will follow. So you're going to have the name of your file with its extension followed by the open mode. So I'm going to use W here, and the W must be in quotation and it's lowercase. Alright, so let's save this. And I'm going to save it in documents as files. Alright, so let's run. So let's check for errors. F open list was not declared. Oh, alright, so it says list was not declared in this scope. Oh, so this should have been in quotation, guys. Alright, so let's run that again. There it is. Alright, so let's run it. Alright, so I'm going to check my documents now to see if I have that file there. So I should have a file by the name of list. Let me check. Alright, and here it is at the bottom. If you open it, it's going to be a, well, my text file is open in Word, but if you have like Notepad, it would open in Notepad, or you can select it to open in Notepad. So here's my list file and it is blank. Alright, let me close that now. Alright, so that is opening. So the first thing we did is that we declared our file pointer, which is S, and as I said before, you can use any letter that you want or word. This now is what we're going to use when we're referring to the file itself. Here is to open a file. So you have the same file pointer that you had at the beginning, the equal sign, followed by the fopen function. The fopen function has two parameters, which is the name of your file, which must be in quotation, and your open mode. So we're telling it W signifies that you want to open a new document. Alright, so that was that part. So let's move on. So let's now add some data to our file. So first thing you're going to use the fprintf, because this is a text file. So we use the fprintf, which signifies that we are going to use the printf function, which we know is the output, but we want this to output now in the file. Hence we have the f. So we have fprintf, open bracket. The first thing you put is your file pointer, which is s, followed by whatever text you want to be displayed in your file. So I'm going to have hello, my lovely subscribers. And because some people view and don't want to subscribe, you know, I have to tell them hi, my lovely subscribers or viewers. Alright, and this must end now with a semicolon. So let's compile. Checking for errors, there's none. Alright, so let's run it. Alright, so let's go back to my documents, because I closed the file, and open my list. Let's maximize that. There you have it. Hello, my lovely subscribers or viewers. Alright, so that is outputting text, and we're using the fprintf function. Alright, so moving on to the next aspect, which is also very important, is our fclose command. So the fclose command now is used basically to close our file. So we use fclose. The fclose function carries one parameter, and that's your file pointer. So let's put the file pointer there, which is s, followed by our semicolon. So let's compile and run. So this is basically saying that we're finished with the file itself. Alright, so after it is that you have done this, now let's say you would have carried out, so you declare your file pointer, open your file, and you add text to it. If it is that you don't have your F close, your this might not be printed to your file, so you always want to have your F close. Good. Alright, so how do we read from a file now? Once it is that we're reading, we're going to use the fgets. Fgets is similar to your gets, it's just that the F would signify that you're getting it from a file. Alright, so let us clear this to see how is it that we read from the file. Alright, so you're still going to have your file pointer. Now to get the text from the file, you have to declare a character buffer. Now what is this? Your buffer is basically a temporary storage area, and we have to declare that so that we can get the string in. Remember that C doesn't have a string data type, so basically once it is that you're accepting string, you would have to declare that as an array. So that's the first thing that you're going to do once it is that you're going to get the data from the file. So you're going to have char and you're going to have buff. Use the word buff followed by the array size, and you can use any random figure basically that you know the size of the file may be. You can use 100, you can use 150, but it's best to set it at a high figure so that you're sure to return the value, because it's going to count the space, commas, whatever it is that you have in there as a character. So after that, now you're going to have your file pointer, which is S, followed by your equal sign, and you're going to have the file open function. Remember, for the file open function, we need two parameters. So I want it to open my list, and that must be in quotation, so that's list.txt, comma, followed by my open mode. Now my open mode is not going to be W because I'm not writing to the file, I want to read from the file, so I'm going to have instead R. Alright, so after that you have your gets function, your fgets, and in our fgets we're going to have three parameters. We're going to have the character array that we declared here, which is buff, followed by the size of function. Now the size of function basically tells you the size of the data that you are accepting. So what I want the size of is buff right here, followed by a comma, and then my file pointer, which is S. So I have the character array that I declared here, the size of function, you must have the size of, so basically you're getting the data, and with the data you have to get the size of it, and then my file pointer. Good. Then now we're going to have our F close, and we said that the F close is a must, otherwise the possibility of the other operations working is limited. So after this now, because I want this to output now in this compiler, because this part here is opening the file and telling what we want to do with it. Here now we're telling the system what we get, what we want to get from the file, but we are yet to put our regular output statement here, which is our regular printf, to output it to the screen when we compile. Alright, so you're going to have, first thing, in quotation, you're going to have your percentage sign S. S is for string, followed by your comma, my outside, and my array that I have at the top here, which is buff, semicolon, or return 0, which is to close our function, and then let's compile. Alright, let's run it. So here you have it. So what I have in my file is hello my lovely subscribers or viewers, and that is your text file, and that's it. So we looked on fopen, fclose, fgets. We looked on how it is that we declared our pointer. We'll use the new function, which is buff, and we said that a buffer is a temporary storage that is used to input or output data in programming. The size of, so once it is that I'm getting the data, I must get the size with it also. So here I have my size of what, the size of what is the same variable here, which is my buffer, followed by my file pointer. And then now we're going to look on how it is that we create data file. And data files are integer type, basically. That's what we're going to look at. So we're going to have our main function, which is in main. Oh God. And my null brackets, my parentheses. Alright. So just like your text file, the first thing you're going to declare is your file pointer. And we said that we use file, which must be in all caps, followed by your asterisk. The asterisk is what basically tells the system that this is a pointer. And your pointer variable, which is s. I'm going to use lowercase because I don't want it to be upper. After it is that you have declared your file pointer, you're going to move on to how is it that we open the file. So I'm going to create a next file, which is for the text data here, and I'm just showing you that so that we know how to create that. But it's the same process. There's one little change. So you're going to have your file pointer, which is s, followed by the equal sign. Then you're going to have fopen, that is what we covered before, open bracket, and we have two parameters for our fopen function, which is the name of our file. So let's have new dot txt, and this should be in quotation. Quotation, comma, followed by what is it that we want to do. So if we want to open a file, then you would use W, and that would be for your text data. But because this is now, we're using this to accept integer type, we put a B behind it. So we use WB as our open mode instead. Now the B is used to basically put the file in binary mode, and we know that binary is zeros and ones, which would basically be your integer. Alright, semicolon here, and then we said that you must always have your fclose, and in the fclose we have our pointer, and then you're going to close now your main function with return 0. Alright, so let's compile and check for errors. Not seeing any. Alright, let's run it. So it's in doc. Alright, so let's look now for new. Alright, so here is new. That's the file that we just created. Alright, and it is blank because we're yet to write anything to it. Alright, good. So we created our file pointer, and then we opened the file, and we said that we add a B, which is to change it to binary mode once it is that we are creating a data file. Alright, moving on. So now we're going to look on how it is that we write to the file. So what we're going to use now, we're going to use or include our buffer again. So we're going to have int this time for buff, because we're adding integer type and not text. So that is why the data type would have changed here. We have our F open, which is to open the same file that we created before. Buffer is temporary storage used to input or output data. So what you're going to do, you're going to have buff is equal to a number. Alright, so it can be any random figure there. That depends on you. After which you're going to have fwrite. Open bracket. Now your fwrite is going to carry 4 parameters. So the first thing you're going to have is the ampersand sign and buff, comma, size of, and the size of, we're still using the buffer right here, even though we gave it a size, comma, the number of variables that we want to write to the file. So that's 1, comma, followed by our pointer, which is s, semicolon. You must have your f close. So let's compile it. Let's check for errors. All right. Oh, I should have a bracket right here. All right. Let's run that. We're not going to find anything in our file because it is in binary mode. What does that mean? Let me show you. So let me go back to documents. So you have ever opened a file and you can't view the data because of the language that it is in. So this is what will come up because it is in binary mode there. However, the code works there. Alright, so now let us output the data from the file and let's see what we will get there. Alright, so let me remove this. What is going to be different is right here. So let me change this. So let's read from this file now. So we're going to change this to RB because we're reading. And then you're going to have not fwrite, but now you would have fread. Open bracket. You would have basically the same thing that we had before. So you would have your buffer, ampersand sign buff, what it is that we are assigning to. So that's the ampersand sign buff, followed by the size of function, open brackets, and you have the buff there, comma, followed by the number of variables, which is 1, and your file pointer. After it is that you have your fread, you're going to have your printf function. So I'm going to have printf because I want to output in the compiler this time. So I'm going to have my quotation, %d, and this is to say that I'm accepting. I want to output integer, comma, followed by the variable name, which is buff in this case. And then we're going to have our fclose and our file pointer, which is s, and then closing our main function, which is return 0. What did I know? Oh, this should be size. Alright, okay. So here we have the 150, which is the value that we assign to our buffer. Good. So even though we're not seeing it in the file itself, it is there, but because it is in binary mode, when you open the file you're not going to see it there. Alright, so I hope that was helpful.